Right guys, so this is Olympus tips and tricks. I'm just going to be running through my Olympus record and just showing you the route I take and why I take that particular route. Um, so this is basically just helping out a few people because I had a few messages recently, saying, Olympus is in the new update, it hasn't been cancelled. Um, so could you let me know how to play Olympus? So this video is my record. This is just on YouTube here from 9 months ago. So I haven't beaten it in 9 months, but it's if I put my mind to it, it shouldn't be too hard. But anyway, so when you start, I'm just going to be showing you on my mouse here. That's probably the easiest way I could think of. My mouse is huge because I'm not well. Yeah, my eyesight isn't great. So anyway, you've got this rock here. You basically just hold forward, hold jump when you start, and when you start, you can hit any part of the rock here. I've started to kind of hit it over this side a little bit, but anytime I race this replay, I'm ahead of it. So it definitely can be beaten. So anyway, you jump on this bit here, and you make it over this kind of incline here, just like that. So I'll just go back a little bit. So you jump on there, and then you go over this line. That's quite simple, really. So here, you've got some flat areas, and you've got lots of kind of little hills. I find it best to go along this flat bit and then go left, so that your momentum carries you towards that way. So as you can see, I do that there. So if you think the goal is over there, if you kind of imagine in your head a straight line towards the goal, if you just kind of imagine that straight, perfect line, obviously we can't get that line because of the level layout and such, but if you imagine that line in your head and you try and be as close to that line as you possibly can, so the actual goal is towards the left. So in my run, quite a lot of the time, I'm on the left side, and just being closer to the goal it will shave off those nanoseconds there. So anyway, I want to be heading down this left side. You can go down the right, but it's slower because you're further away from the goal. If you see here, that's level, whereas if you were here, you would be further away. So anyway, you get, let me just go back a little bit. So you jump along these hills here, and this one you can jump along, and when you get to here, now there's two ways of doing this bit. There's the first way, where if you land here, and you can jump on this hill here, and then you can go above there. Alternatively, what I do on this run is I hit this hill here, which isn't the most perfect way, but you go on this kind of rampy bit. But yeah, so you can either go this way or that way, either way. So what I mean here is sometimes I've jumped on this bit and gone over, and sometimes I've gone in here and gone over. But what you want to aim for is this little bit in between the hills. So once you get that, you should go right through. If you hit any of these, it will kind of mess up the run because you'll be like flung all over the place. But this is like the sweet spot. And then when you get to here, there's a little ramp here which you can just roll across. You don't need to jump. So you roll across it, and that gets you over these. And then here, what I normally like to do is just rest my marble along this little slope, and that angles myself down here. You have got these as well, but they're going to throw you off. So what I like to do is just kind of go along this little bit, and that kind of turns me this way. And then here, there's quite a lot of bumps and stuff. If you hit any sharp bumps like that, or this one here, it will just send you in the air, and that's your run over pretty much. So anyway, what I like to do is just kind of jump over all these, because it's just too hard to kind of route it, because it's just so every route, every time you play it is going to be slightly different. But if you go along here, and these are all going down, so it doesn't really matter where you go here. I like to angle myself towards the left. As you can see, the goal is over here. If you go towards the right, you'll be further away. So I just like kind of going anywhere here, really. Just watch out from this bit. You know, I've fallen off this bit so many times. But if you angle yourself right, it should be fine. Now coming up here, so there is a quicker way, which is to go just down here. But I don't really get it very often, and if I do, it's not really perfect. But the easiest way, the more consistent way, is to kind of go along here, and you jump here, and you go over this gap, and then you see this rampy bit here. You jump along there, and what I like to do, you can't see it in the replay, but when I'm playing, I just play with the Joy-Cons, and you know they are what they are. They aren't great, to be honest. But when you play with Joy-Cons or any controller, your fingers do start to slip off. So every 30 seconds or whenever I'm in the air, I like to just pause it and then reposition my thumbs for like half a second and then play it again. That's just something I personally do, especially on this level, because it's so long and your finger does start to slip off the controller. I've never played with a keyboard. I've no idea if that's a thing on there, but this is what I do. I don't know if that helps, but just, you know, pause it once in a while, reposition yourself, and then carry on. So this bit coming up, so the optimal route is to go directly across the middle here, but because there's so many ramps, it's just too inconsistent. So what I like to do is to go off to the side. You don't really lose too much time anyway, because the goal is on the left and you're heading towards the left side, so you don't really lose a lot of time by going down the left compared to in the middle. Although the middle is slightly quicker, maybe 0.1 or 0.2 quicker. In the long run, it's just more consistent to go down the left. And then you've got some flat bits here, or you've got the top of this ramp that I like to jump on. It's just a lot more consistent if you do it like that. And you've got all these little kind of holes. I guess they're meant to be holes, but you know, little holes. So you just basically go along them. I just roll. Have you seen most of the time in this run, I basically roll. I don't really jump, because you're trying to be as close to the perfect hypothetical line that I spoke about before, which is basically going down, because this level is a downhill level. So if you jump, you're going to be further away from that imaginary line. So staying low to the ground is best here, because you're going to be closer to the goal. So anyway, I just roll along here. You do a few little jumps just over the little bumps and that. And then here, let me just go back a little bit so you can see that a bit clearly. So I just jump a few here, and then I just roll. And then there's a little kind of gap, kind of holy bit there, which I just jump over. So here's a good view of the bit coming up. What I like to do is just kind of go diagonally here, because it's swerving to the right. If you go on the left here, you'll be on the longer stretch. So I kind of cut through the middle here. Obviously it's further away from the goal, but it's much shorter because it's turning to the right, if that makes sense. And there's a few kind of bumps and stuff. If you just kind of be careful and just mostly roll, do a few little jumps. But I jump here because I don't know, it's just a corner, and this is my theory anyway. When you jump over a corner, it's quicker, but it might not be. But see, when you're going full speed in this level, I mean, the ideal way to play it is you go full speed the whole way through, and if you hit any bumps, that generally does, you know, make you drop speed. So this is 202.61, one of the records. But if you just keep top speed as much as you can, that's best. If you lose any speed and you're going for the record, you might as well just reset, because, well, the record is with top speed all the time. So, but anyway, so here we're just going to cut right through. There's a little kind of I guess a lower bit is what I'm aiming for here. So we'll go over the lower bit, I guess, because it's lower to the ground. That's my theory anyway. So here, the old way that everyone used to go was round the right, but then I kind of made up this way you go towards the left, and that does save time. It's because obviously the goal's towards the left, like I keep saying. So if you head off to the left most of the time, So I jump along here, and then right on the edge of this, you jump. And what that does, it clears all this gap and all these big hills. If you hit these big hills, it's game over. You might as well reset. So pacing wise, what I like to do, if I'm not racing my replay, which I don't always do, I just like just to play it and see what happens. But if you cross this white line around the minute mark, you're doing a really good job. So as you can see, a minute is practically on this white line. So when I land here, I land in this crater. But if you land on the very flat bit, you won't, I guess, be as fast. I like to go along the slopey bit, and I like to be on the right side here, because when you go on the right side, it angles you towards the left, whereas if you're on the left side, it's going to angle you towards the right, and you're going to hit this rock. But anyway, go on the right side of that little crater, and then here, you've got, I roll down here because it's quite steep, so if you just roll, and there's kind of like another little crater here, that kind of, you can use yourself to position. And then going down here, what a lot of the older records used to do is to go along here, but it's quite kind of a longer way to do it. Even though it's towards the left, you're still losing a lot of time. And on this rock, you've got this kind of mini crater around here where I'm circling, and you can angle yourself along this bit exactly, and you'll kind of go more centered, if that makes sense. So here there's a little kind of ramp. I kind of jump over it because there's quite a bit of bumpy bits here. So anyway, I jump over that, and then I jump again. So here's where I mess up a lot. You know, the rest of the run isn't too hard if you follow the route, but this is where I mess up a lot. So there's a lot of kind of big bumps. So what I position myself, or I mean how I do it, the old way was round here, but again that's too long and you're further away from the goal. So I made up this weird thing where I basically hit this, and then you jump, and you skip over these big craters and bumps because you might as well. They're just going to mess you up. If you get a good jump, you'll basically clear all of that, and then you can land here, and then this bit, you can use this wall to line yourself up on the next bit. So this is quite an important bump here. If you go here, that's going to mess you up. If you go here, that's going to mess you up. You have to go right in the middle here, and it's a smooth ramp. So if you get a nice smooth bounce off there, and you keep your maximum speed going, that's the perfect strategy. If you lose any speed here, it's going to mess up your time. So try and keep center on that rock, and you'll get a nice kind of bump here. And then luckily here it's a smooth landing, keep the top speed, and this bit looks familiar because it's practically the same as the previous part in the level. But again, just jump over most of these and they won't really give you any problem. So here's where it gets a little bit trickier, but again, this bit's a bit raised, so you can just jump on the raised bit. So yeah, this is very similar as the last time. You can go and kind of go off this bit and go in the center. That's more optimal. But again, this way's more consistent. So there is room for improvement on this. I mean, I got 0.61. I practiced and stuff and got a 0.3, maybe a 0.29. But anyway, it can go lower. I don't pretend to be the best marble player in the world. You know, there's better players than me. I'm sure the record will fall at some point, but hopefully this kind of helps. But anyway, so here you jump off the edge like the time before this. The rock here you have to watch out for because that wasn't in the previous part. So just watch out for the rock. But again, if you jump off this bit, that will center. And again, what I like to do here is pause it, reposition myself, and carry on. So here again, you can go through the middle. That probably does save a tiny bit of time, but again, it's way less consistent. So if you just jump here and jump here, you will kind of fly over here. And then this kind of right side, it looks familiar because we've done it before, but you go on there again. You can jump on that rock, that's fine. And now here is where the trickiest part comes. Again, it's right at the end, but all these little craters and stuff, they can mess you up if you hit the fronts of them. So you got to kind of go on the back, and then you'll roll right through. If you hit the front, you're going to mess up. So anyway, you want to kind of hit this middle crater, and you roll off it. If you jump, you'll miss the kind of skip that I do. So if you roll off it, roll and then roll, it looks like I jump, but I don't. It's because I hit the front of the crater. It just looks like I jump here, but I actually just roll. And then here, this is the hardest part. So the older method was to go round, but again, you're further away from the goal, and you have to turn as well. But what I like to do is just roll on this crater. Now this bit took a lot of practice to find out and to get it right. But you basically keep rolling. You don't jump at all. So if you jump, you're going to go too far and you're going to go in this gap. But if you roll, you'll do it just right. So I'll play that bit again. So just constant rolling. And if you time it right and you get it right, you'll clear this bump. And then the ending, my ending here isn't perfect, but you basically just got to be on the right side of the bumps. So either before them and go over, or you jump on the top like that, or again you do that. But you want to be as straight as possible on this final stretch. Now here, I kind of rolled along this along the final one, which kind of put me too high. That wasn't the best. I should have jumped here and cleared that bump, but never mind. So yeah, that's the record there. But again, if you lose top speed and you go in for the record, you might as well reset. But if you just want to improve your time, I mean, sometimes you'll hit a bump. Like let's say you'll hit a bump here, or you'll hit a bump. That's probably not a good place. Anyway, you hit one of these bumps, you might end up going quite high in the air. But if you're going for the record, you might as well just rewind and then carry on and see what time you would have got. I like to rewind, especially because the ending is quite annoying. And if you want to practice the ending, it's best to just rewind and keep going, and that way you practice the whole level. This bit is particularly annoying. I remember a few times I got it all right, and then I messed up here, like I hit the wrong bump, or it sent me flying up in the air, or I missed the goal. One time I got so frustrated I threw my Joy-Con against the wall. So you don't want to do that. But anyway, it took me about to get under 2.03, probably about 25 hours, which sounds like a lot, but I mean a lot of the time was making the route. So you guys already have the route. So to get a good run on this, it depends on your ability, of course, but you know, if you're in the top 20 players, you probably get a good run once every hour. Whether that's 202, 203, 204, doesn't really matter really. But yeah, hopefully that helps. If you have any questions, let me know. And I hope you enjoyed me rambling on for, I don't know, however long this is, 10 minutes or so. But yeah, alright, hopefully that helps.